What is 1244 stock? Okay, you know what stock is. You know that stock is considered a capital asset in most cases if you're not a dealer's broker. But this certain section talks about an advantage if it's considered 1244 stock. So, real quick, I want to remind you about some individual losses. Individuals are allowed to take losses if they incur in a trade or business. And generally, we say those aren't limited. We know that there is excess business losses now, but this is the highest level of loss you could take, or if it's related to production of income. But we know that capital losses from the sale of stock are limited to how much each year? $3,000. Okay, and then casualty losses. So we're going to focus specifically on stock, which again is a capital asset and normally would be capped at $3,000 each year of loss you could take. So I said, I've got some stock that I sold for 100 grand. My adjusted basis is 130. I have a $30,000 capital loss. And suppose I had $100,000 in W-2 salary. How much of this loss can I take to get to my AGI? Again, only $3,000. And if that's all I had that year, my AGI would be 97 grand. Well, if the stock is covered under Section 1244, I can take more of a loss. That's the preferential treatment. So, how much more? And then we'll go back into what is 1244 stock. 1244 says if it's 1244 stock, you can actually take up to 50,000 of ordinary loss plus still your 3 capital loss. Or if you're married filing jointly, you can take 100,000 of ordinary loss plus your 3 capital loss. So you can see now, suppose in this scenario I'm single, you can see how this is beneficial because I truly have a $30,000 capital loss. In this case, if it were 1244 stock, I would get to reduce all of my W-2 income by that 30, and I'd end up with an AGI of only 70 grand. Pay a lot less taxes, right? Okay, so let's talk about what is 1244 stock. It's called small business stock, like I have written up there. There are some stipulations. You must purchase the stock from the corporation. So I can't purchase stock that was 1244 stock from my friend James and it doesn't retain its 1244 status to me. I've got to buy it straight from the corporation. It has to be a US, a domestic corporation. And at the time the stock was purchased, the corporation had to have had a million or less paid in capital. Now, it doesn't matter, say I purchased my 1244 stock and they've got, only 500,000 paid in capital. And say 10 years later, I get ready to sell my stock, but now they're paid in capital is like 1.5 million. That's okay. It's still 1244 stock to me. So at the time of purchase. So make sure you know those 3 things, what to look for that makes it 1244 stock. And now let's do an example. And let's say that I'm single and I sold some stock for $100,000 and my adjusted basis in the stock is 200,000. What is my realized gain or loss? I have, oops, I don't know why I wrote that there. I have a realized loss of 100,000. Suppose my salary is 120,000. So I've got W-2 wages there. How much of this realized loss can I take this year? Well, again, if it's 1244 stock and I'm single, I get to take 50 as an ordinary loss and I still get my 3 capital loss. So I'm going to end up getting to deduct 53,000 of that. This is kind of one of those things they do in the tax code too. What if I was married? How much could I deduct? Well, then I could take my whole entire loss. I wouldn't get 103, right? The most I'm going to get is my realized loss. So I'm not saying you should get married just to save on taxes, but sometimes there are some benefits there. What else? Okay, I think that's it about 1244 stock for you guys.